Hi guys, welcome back. Clay Ballard here, and today we got a great review for one of the members of the website. Jim has been nice enough to submit his swing, has a really good swing, does tons of things really well. We're going to take a look at some of the good moves that he does and compare those with what Rory McIlroy does in his golf swing, and then we're also going to talk about a couple things that he could do to both improve his power and the compression of the golf ball. So really start feeling like the ball is melting into the face, like you're getting that really solid strike on the ball. We're going to talk about a couple things that are going to help with that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing I want to mention here that is a really good thing that Jim does is he stays in a very good angle for the stable fluid spine. So we can see he's slightly tilted away as he's here at address. Let me go ahead and change this to a little brighter color so we can see that. Well, that did not work at all. There we go. So we can see that at address, he's tilted slightly away. We're going to try to keep that same angle all the way to the top of the swing, and you can see what a good job he does of that. So even though he's got a little weight shift to the right, he's rotated his body, he's really loaded up, you can see that he's kept that overall angle nice and solid so he's not moving around all over the place. That's going to allow him to be much more consistent in the golf swing. And as he starts down, as we shift to the left slightly, we're going to increase that angle just a little bit as we come into contact. So at address, we were probably 6-8 degrees. At impact, we're getting closer to 20 degrees or so. And anything in that ballpark is going to be pretty good. So this is looking really solid there, nice and consistent. And I'll tell you, my favorite part of his swing is look at that finish. I mean, completely balanced in the finish, really feeling like he's got rotated all the way through onto the target. His right foot is straight up and down, all the weight stacked up on the left. If you drew a line from the left ankle all the way up through the body, that would be just a dead straight line. Shoulders have rotated on through. So really good stuff there. So I really like that in his swing. If we take a look at the same thing with Rory, we're going to see some really similar stuff here. We're going to go ahead and draw a line here at address, which would be his spine angle as he starts out. As he goes to the top of the swing, we're going to see him rotate back, and again, he's rotating quite a bit, but he's not changing that spine angle. So overall is very similar, and that allows you to be very consistent. Sometimes when you feel like maybe your head's moving around a lot, or you feel like you're looking up in the swing, that's really what's going on, is the spine angle is changing a lot. And then as he comes down to contact, we can see that angle is just slightly more, just like we saw with Jim. So if we go ahead and draw there on the spine, or our best guess at the spine, that's about where it's going to be. One thing here that's slightly different with Rory that I think that Jim could do that would help out is to feel like that left hip really clears out of the way, to feel like the hips rotate on through a little bit more. You can feel like the right hip goes toward the target. So if we're looking at the inside of the right hip or the front of the right hip, you could feel like that goes to the target. And then imagine somebody had a rope and tied it to your back pant pocket on the left side and pulled it this way, and they had a rope tied to the right side of your right hip or around your right belt loop, and they pulled it forward as you're doing that, and someone was pulling both of these in those directions. That's rotating the hips on through. Now, one thing that I see people do that struggle with this a little bit is they start to think that I need to rotate the hips faster just because I'm rotating them more. So I'm not really saying to rotate the hips with a lot of speed. I'm saying just to let them continue to turn as you're coming through the shot. So they shouldn't be any faster at all, which is a very common misconception. A lot of people try to do that, but it should just rotate just a little bit more. And what that's going to allow him to do is to release the club a little bit better, which is going to be the second thing that we talk about here. And you can see that when we compare the hips, Rory has rotated his on through a little bit more, and then Jim's are still kind of almost stuck in blocking his hands and arms as he's coming through there a little bit. So it's making it difficult for what he's been working on. And when I talked to him in the past about really trying to keep that angle in the right wrist all the way through contact and getting into the release. So we can see that he gets into his straight line release a little too early. So just about a foot or a foot and a half in front of the ball, he's already fully released this club, and we want to have that release to be farther in front. So if we go over here and look at Rory, he's first getting into his straight line release as he's well out in front. So now we can see the club releasing out there, and that would be about 3 or 4 feet in front because we saw the ball was back here, club's pointing much more in front. So if those hips rotate a little bit more, not faster, just more, that's going to allow the shoulders and everything to be pointing farther in front and that release to happen later. This is really going to help you with lag. I mean, it all ties in together. The straight line release is a direct result of getting rid of our lag. And if we pause, one of the reasons I picked this video of Rory, so if we pause just before contact here, as his hands are over top of the golf ball, notice the huge angle that is still in his right wrist. And again, he's waiting to release this club well out in front. When the club passes 3 or 4 feet in front, got the hips out of the way to be able to do that. And if we see here with Jim, let's go ahead and try to look at the same area. Again, hands over the ball. We can see that the right wrist has released most of its angle. So the right wrist is pretty flat when we're looking at that. And that's causing him to, number one, lose some compression on the golf ball. The more we can get the hands in front as we're swinging down, the more this club head is trailing behind. It's going to be much more stable. Think about pulling a push cart when you're playing golf versus pushing a push cart. It's going to be a lot more stable. It's going to track right with you if you're pulling it, or if your force that you're putting into the club is much more in front of the club head. The closer the club head gets to being lined up with your hands, the less stable it's going to be, the less compression you're going to have on the golf ball. So that would be one thing that would really help him to get a lot more compression, and that has to do with, number one, allowing the hips to rotate a little bit more, and number two, just thinking about that release being farther in front. So right now, what I would recommend for you to focus on this week as you're practicing is, imagine we see that now your release is here, 1.5 feet in front of the golf ball. Imagine the release, we're going to go ahead and exaggerate a little bit, imagine the release being 6 or 7 feet in front of the golf ball, and you're just going to allow your hips to rotate out of the way to do so. Now the last thing I want you to that I want to recommend for you, and it's going to get you some immediate distance, the release is going to take a little bit of time. You're going to have to make some swings to get that down correctly, but this will get you some immediate distance, and we go over this in the power turn section. You want to go ahead and really rotate, allow your hips to be free and to rotate as you're going to the top of the swing. Great looking backswing. A lot of good stuff going on here. You see you really limited your hips a little bit to where they're feeling kind of tight, and we haven't quite got the good full shoulder turn that we're looking for. So we're probably about 80 degrees on the shoulder turn, and the hips haven't rotated a lot. You have tons of separation here, tons and tons of separation between the hips and the shoulders. You just got to get everything to rotate back a little bit more. So if we go ahead and we take a look at Rory on the right, we're going to see something a little bit different. There we go. Now at the top of the swing, look how much more his hips have been allowed to rotate. He's really freed those up nice and relaxed, and that allows his shoulders to turn a little bit more. So you have the good separation. That's a big thing that people talk about a lot of times, is separation between the hips and the shoulders. But we got to get that separation and rotate everything a little bit farther back. What I would recommend you feel is very, very simple. I think you'll be able to do this pretty quickly and easily. Instead of the belt buckle facing somewhere in this direction, get the belt buckle to feel like it's facing back another 15-20 degrees, and that's going to allow everything to rotate back. So the power turn, that's something we also go over in the Top Speed Golf system. That allows you to get tons and tons of speed. Your body builds momentum to allow your hands and arms to add to that momentum and create clubhead speed. That's going to get you some more speed. You're doing a lot of things really well. I mean, overall, I really like where you're at with the swing. I think a couple motions that get you a little bit more athletic and a little bit looser and give you some more hand-eye coordination and feel freer are going to help you to do that. And obviously releasing the club a little farther in front is going to get you a lot more compression. So work hard, work on those videos I mentioned, go into the power turn section, work on the hip turn video that I have there and the hip and shoulders as you're going to the top, and then go into the straight line release video and work on the Pet the Grass video that I talked about. I believe there's one in the lag series also that goes on to that, where I focus in on the right hand and releasing farther in front. Think about that releasing 6 or 7 feet in front, and that's going to help you hit a lot better solid shots. So good luck, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, so for those of you that join us on YouTube, I got an awesome bonus for you. You want to build a lot of lag. You want to create some good clubhead speed. You want to get this Rory McIlroy, tons and tons of lag as he's coming into the downswing. I got a great video that's going to go over the #1 lag mistake, and I see tons of people making it, and it has to do with how you do your takeaway. So take a close look at how Rory does his takeaway here, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in this video. It's going to pop up a preview of that here in a second. Click the link, pops up on the right hand side of your screen or down below in the description, and you can click to watch that entire video free of charge. Plus, you're going to get 5 videos from our Top Speed Golf system free of charge to really elaborate on the things we talked about here today. So good luck to you guys. I can't wait to help you with your golf game. Go out there, play well, be athletic, simplify the game, and I'll see you soon. Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm Clay Ballard, and in today's video we're going to talk about one of the absolute worst drills for creating lag. It's a very common drill that I see. And in this drill, what we're going to do is we're going to set the wrist very early to create an angle of lag, and then we're going to try to hold this throughout the swing. It's one of the worst things that you can do to build lag. I'm going to talk about the science behind why this is the case, and I'm also going to give you a great drill to help you improve your lag, all in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. If I do it this way versus holding that position, exact same thing happens when we're building lag in the golf swing. So what we want to do is throughout the swing, I want to have a very low and wide takeaway. So I'm not going to set my wrist early at all. If you look at a lot of the top players, you look at Adam Scott, very wide takeaway, not very much wrist set at all. You look at Rory McIlroy, you look at Tiger Woods. All these players are using a wide takeaway and not getting very much wrist set, so that later in the swing, as we start down, we can increase this wrist set, and we're really only going to max out this angle of lag for a split second in the downswing. Okay, so a 3-step drill here. Now, as we get started with this, I want to remind you that the fulcrum in this golf club for getting a massive amount of lag is right at the end of the golf club. This is where I want my hinge point to be. I want to use the full length of this club to build lag and then release lag.